Come on! Yeah! What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It is Hainsey coming back for another video, and today we hear the preview round number 1. That's right, guys. The footy is back. Can't wait for it. I will be at this game at Suncorp Stadium. The Roosters up against the Dolphins. 3 p.m. kickoff local time, 4 p.m. in New South Wales time. And this year, we are going to do a little bit different this year. As we do in previews, we're going to get fellow content creators out there in the community to come on, have a chat with us over the season. Obviously, where Parenzo visited last week for representing Manly. Unfortunately, I couldn't get any Dolphins content creators. Hopefully, that we will find one come round 25 when we're playing against Alliance. But whether make do, I think there's a pretty good replacement here. We've got the good old, my friend, the Entertain House is here with us. How are you, my friend? Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, mate, going well. Looking forward to speaking of round 1. Obviously, exciting times having a new NRL club, and the Roosters, what a side they've got on paper coming into this season.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be a great year for us. Hopefully, obviously, we don't talk about the trials. It's a trial. You know, it doesn't really matter. With trials, obviously, there weren't great signs, but I think we'll dust it off over the season ahead. Quickly, we'll firstly talk about your boys, the Parramatta Eels. You guys take on the Melbourne Storm on Thursday night up there at home at Comac Stadium. Unfortunately, not going to be here. But what are your thoughts on this game? How do you reckon Parramatta can beat the Melbourne Storm round 1 curse?
Yeah, we've shown that we can beat the Melbourne Storm. Throughout recent years, we've played some of our best footy against them, really stepped up. Some people expect the Storm to be a top 4 side. Others expect them to be around the bottom of the 8. So really hard to get a read on the Storm. And I don't think whether they win or lose, you can get much of that read off them from round 1. Lots of losses for the Parramatta Eels, so plenty of debutants that I'll be missing out on in that Eels jersey. Potentially Matt Dury, Jack Murchie will probably got a bench spot. Josh Hodgson's first NRL game in Eels colours. And then Jermaine Hopgood, who looks absolutely fantastic. So I think for the most part, the recruitment has covered pretty well. I was worried about a lot of the losses, and you'll see next week or whenever this comes out, I do have my ladder prediction coming out on Monday, the 27th. But yeah, looking forward to the Storm. We actually are underdogs at home. We're $2.20, and the Storm are going to be without Olam and Pappenhausen. There's some big outs for mine, but again, that round 1 thing with the Storm, it's going to be a very tough game, and Craig Bellamy's last round 1 game by the looks of it.
Yeah, definitely looking that way. We will definitely see you back in round 5 when the Roosters take on the Eels at Alliance. Are you going to be attending this game? Because I will be down for that weekend. Are you going to be back from the States then? Good. On top of that, most looking forward to your trip to the States next week. How exciting that's going to be.
Yeah, I'm very keen. So a few different things on the itinerary. The first stop will try and be SoFi Stadium, the home of the Los Angeles Chargers in the NFL. Basically a whole day to ourselves to drop bags, go do that. Disneyland, going to the NBA. I am really crossing my fingers that LeBron James will not be ruled out for that match. Steph Curry looks to be training in a few days, and I'm looking at going to that. And then you got Ja Morant up against Kawhi Leonard, and Russell Westbrook has signed with the Clippers. So a lot to look forward to in America. I will be back on the Saturday, the 11th, and that means that I will miss the Cronulla Sharks game as well on a Friday night. So my first official vlog will be against the Panthers in the grand final rematch in round 4, as I will not be making the trip to Manly to watch Manly and Eels. Just being a Thursday night, it's going to be too tough, unless I have the Friday off work. But looking like round 4 is vlog number uno, and I'll be there at that Roosters-Eels game. It's going to be a cracker.
Can't wait another collab vlog at Alliance Stadium. We've been to 2 now, so it's going to be great. We'll talk a little bit of footy now. That's what we're here for. The Roosters and the Dolphins, the inaugural Arthur Beetson Cup. It was actually just announced today at the time of recording, where in each clash that we do play for now, the man of the match will receive the Arthur Beetson medal, similar to what we saw in the All-Stars games. So it's going to be great. Obviously, if you guys aren't really aware, so Arthur Beetson first started his career back in the 60s with the Redcliffe Dolphins back then when there was a split competition between the New South Wales Rugby League and Queensland's top grade in the Queensland Rugby League, where you had the Dolphins, you had all these reserve grade clubs that are playing in now, were the top flight there in the Queensland Rugby League. Then he made his way to the Balmain. Then in 74, 75 was at the Roosters. was there captaining our side to the 74, 75 back-to-back titles. And in fact, he actually played for Parramatta yourself as well, Hayden. So he did play for Parramatta. So there's a lot of history there, and it's said in his documentary or his biography before he passed away in 2011, where his dream and his goal was that the Roosters and the Dolphins play in the top flight game. And this Sunday, it's going to come true. I can't wait for it. It's going to be a great day. The dawn of the Dolphins. There's so much to get through. It's going to be a great day. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, really looking forward to it. As I mentioned, the 17th NRL club. I remember it being announced a year or two ago, and or probably 2 years ago, and it's come around so quickly. There was lots of talks of all those different names. I think the Brisbane Firehawks or Brisbane Fire Bombers, something like that, were talked about back then, but it ended up being the Dolphins getting the spot. Officially still don't have a town. We all thought they were going to be kind of the Redcliffe Dolphins, but they're just the Dolphins for now. But Wayne Bennett, he's going to have something special, and it's going to be a great game next. It's Saturday, isn't it? Yes, next Saturday.
Sunday afternoon, mate. Sunday afternoon.
Sunday at 4.
What a beautiful time slot too. Sunday afternoon. Personally, for me, being from Queensland, it's 3 p.m. So, it's not 4, it's 3. And, I get to come home, settle down, watch a bit more footy. I think the Tigers play the Titans at Leichhardt. That's going to be a great game. So hopefully get back home for that. But obviously, we look at the trial form. The Dolphins drew with the Cowboys. Unfortunately, they were touched up by the Titans. They were pretty ordinary in that defensive effort there against the Titans. While for the Roosters, had a good start with our younger fellas. Got the job done over the Melbourne Storm over there in Geelong. It was great to see our youngsters go out there and have a hit, and it was great to see them go out there and our depth is really looking good. But unfortunately, though, the week later we played Manly, which was pretty much full strength. That what we could deliver, like the best available were playing, and got pretty touched up very very early. But yeah, I know it's a trial. You don't really got to take. You can't really consider much trials. But what are your thoughts on, especially the Dolphins? What are your thoughts on their trial performance? And should they be worried for the season ahead, especially coming in to round one when they play one of the total heavyweights in the Roosters?
Well, I think the issue with the Dolphins that they've shown in the trials is that they may not have that kind of game break, like that game-changing game opener kind of player. They obviously did have the draw against the Cowboys, which is a nice result, but there was no first-grade kind of side for the Cowboys in that game. Touched up by the Gold Coast Titans in Khan Pereira, having an absolute blinder in that game, but still showing some signs for improvement in the side. A lot of people have them as wooden spooners. They're short priced to be favourite, but I think they can take out that they're a team that can put in a fight, and especially that they were losing to the Cowboys, a team that may be able to come back from behind in some difficult games in 2023.
Well, I think they'd be really up for this game. It's the first game. There's going to be a packed house at Suncorp. I heard there's going to be a lot of Roosters fans coming up, so it's going to be great. And, obviously Wayne, the guy who holds the Quagmire sign, giggity, he'll be there. And there's a lot of Roosters fans traveling up, so it's going to be a great atmosphere. A lot of anticipation to see how the Dolphins go. So we've got some good games in round number 1, but I think it's the most anticipated one to see how the Dolphins do. So, but a little bit of Roosters news, though. So, obviously, there's a few outs in this game that there's some in doubt and there's some that are out. So, obviously, Joey Manu is racing the clock to be fit. I think it was a cheekbone again, but they're saying that, it was a 4-week recovery, so it's around about the same time. So I can't see him playing. It's the first game. I think Robbo will do the precautious thing and rule him out. So Joseph Suaalii, he got a head knock in that game against Manly. So it was 2 weeks between games. So I think he'll be right to play. It's more. I think it's 14. It's 16 days. So it was open on the Friday. So it'll be 16 days. So he should be right to go. Sam Walker had COVID, so he didn't play. He'll be right. Luke Keary, unfortunately, has did something to his jaw, got the knock at training, so he's in doubt as well. And obviously, the big news that really hasn't gone unnoticed, but Angus Crichton. So I believe it's some mental health issues here. Now, when I first saw the post that it said, being going to confirm by the club tomorrow that he's going to take indefinite leave, and then a day later there was a post that said, "Oh, the Roosters have denied this," and we've deleted the post. And I'm thinking, what is going on here? And then last night, it was actually reported in the news that he will miss the first 6 weeks game. So it's a big loss there. And we're going to have the Butcher brothers in the back row. So it's going to be interesting. So we will get to our predicted lineups very, very shortly. But what are your thoughts on the Roosters with the situation here with Angus Crichton and the rest of the injuries coming into round one?
Yeah, it's absolutely a very tough and difficult situation there for Angus Crichton. Obviously, we had a few years ago some issues with Ash Taylor, who had some personal battles coming off the field, having some indefinite leave to resolve those issues, to come back, play footy. Very similar situation for Angus Crichton here, very personal problems, and did a podcast last season speaking about mental health. Go and check it out with Darius Boyd on the channel, and I think the NRL needs to be fully supportive of Angus's decision, and whether it be 6 weeks or 10 weeks, whether it be a season, Angus needs to get himself right before he gets back on that footy field.
Yeah, 100%. Well, mental health is a massive thing that needs to be addressed in rugby league. We obviously saw what happened last year, so we don't want that. We don't want this to happen. So, but obviously, when I heard the news, I was devastated in two ways. Number one, I was like, I feel sorry for him. I hope he's okay. I hope he's all right. You know, you don't want to see this to any player, never mind one of your own players. And then the second, the realization is like, oh no, this is one of their best players. Like, he's our best back rower. He's not going to be playing. And, you know, we lost to Tilly Tupanil till May. So we're a little bit under strength in the back row department. So that came into it. But at the end of the day, whatever he needs, he should get it. Hope he gets all the right help that he can get. And we'll see him back on the field very shortly, ripping in for the Roosters. So I hope he's all good. But yeah, it's just devastating to see, you know, the player suffering some mental health issues.
Yep.
Definitely. So we'll move in now to our predicted lineups for this side. So I'll start with the Roosters. Hayden, I hope you got your notes down with the Dolphins, because there could be anyone who could play in this game. You know, they've got like a very big squad, and they've really changed up a few things over the last 2 weeks. So the Roosters one, this is pretty accurate. I think will happen. So I'll get straight into it. Obviously, fullback will be Tedesco, like picks for himself. On the wings there, Tupou, and I'm actually going to go with Jackson Polo there. I reckon he'll get the first opportunity on the wing. He's earned it at this stage. The centers, Joseph Suaalii, he'll be right to play, like I said. Now this one, number 4, I'm going with Polgar. I forgot his first name, but he played in the trials. And funny fact, he's 27 years old, and he had a brilliant trial against the Storm. Then he come on late in the second half against Manly, and yeah, he killed it. So I reckon the combination with Corey Allen and Paulo on that right side just didn't work. Obviously, there's still no word on Momorowski. I don't know where he is at the moment. I think he's at the North Sydney Bears, if I'm honest. I think they kept him at the North Sydney Bears. So I'm going to go with Polgar there. He'll start in the centers. The halves. Now, I'm going to say that Luke Keary is going to be right to play. I don't think it's a bigger serious issue as what is Joey Manu that's keeping him out. So I think Luke Keary will be there. Sam Walker will also be there in the halves. And I think when you take them to trial form, we didn't have any of them playing in the half, so that doesn't really help the structure. Into the front row, Lindsay Collins and the hectic cheese, Brandon Smith and the hooker. I'm frothing at the mouth to see him don the red, white, and blue next week in his first official game for the Roosters. Hope he's bags a try. And then Matty Lodge into the front row as well. The back row are going to be the Butcher brothers, Nat Butcher and Egan Butcher. Egan Butcher on the left and Nat Butcher on the right. And then, of course, Victor, the inflictor, Radley at 13. It's pretty good forward pack. I think Egan Butcher, he's such a good player and he'll do the job. Into the bench now. So the Roosters, I reckon Jake Turpin will get the 14 role. I think I can't see the Cheese in his first game playing 80 minutes. I think it'll be a handy replacement. Give the Cheese a rest. Even give Radley a rest. Put Cheese into the lock for about 5-10 minutes. So I think Turpin will be into the 14. Number 15, it's going to be the big Jared Roria Hargreaves. Obviously, he got a bit of a back complaint during the during the All-Stars camp, or was it in Roosters camp? One of the two. So he will be right to go off the bench. I think as he's starting to slow down into his last few seasons, Robbo will try and limit his workload of the first few weeks, which we've seen in the last few years. So I think Jared will come off the bench here. number 15. Number 16, I'm going to go with Terrell May. I think he had some good preseason form as well. So I think he'll be at number 16. And number 17, I'm going to go with Fletcher Baker, Aberdeen boy. He proved himself last year in the last few seasons, and he can do a job off the bench, and I think he'll come off. It's number 17. Hayden, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, it's a great lineup there. I think it's pretty accurate if Joey Manu's out, that type of player to cover. Egan and Nat Butcher, you mentioned it earlier, that the Roosters kind of struggling in the back row department, so they've got those two boys, and that's why they have shoved off the Knights' offer of trading Dominic Young for one of those boys, because they'd be without a back row. You probably have to have Victor Radley playing in the back row if that was the case.
Oh, God, no. Like, like Victor sets up our spine pretty much.
Yeah.
Off the half, his service out of the first receiver role into Kiri or Walker is just phenomenal. And when he's on the field, as we saw in the last 8 weeks, in that, it was just good to watch. So, but yeah, Entertain House, good old. Please go through the Dolphins 1 to 17 for round number 1. Obviously, the time of recording, the team list hasn't been named yet. Obviously, because Hayden's off to the US next week, so we can't get this done until the week prior. So it is just a predicted lineup. So next week we will have the 1 to 17. We'll discuss it with someone else who is going to be on. So Hayden, take it away. The Dolphins.
All right, so I think it's a battle between two boys here for the fullback spot, and it is between Jermaine Asako and the Hammer. And I feel like Wayne Bennett wants someone who will open up the game. And I am going to say that Hammer, the Hamiso Tibuai Fidau, is going to get that starting spot at fullback for the Dolphins. On the wings, you've seen plenty of options for the trials. Look, I think Edric Lee will probably find himself in a spot. Obviously, if there is injury, that changes, but I feel like that would be the smart decision by them. I guess based off that preseason form, you could potentially see Jack Bostock getting a spot on the wing as well. Then you go to the centres, where I do think I'll get this one right. I believe on the right centre will be Brenko Lee. On the left centre will be Tessie New. Tessie New, obviously coming from the Brisbane Broncos in quite a bit of form. I think he'll be included in that side. Their 5'8" will quite obviously be Anthony Milford. You could chuck Isaiah Katoa as a smoky, but Anthony Milford's going to get that call up, and Sean O'Sullivan is going to be in number 7 for sure. In jersey number 8 is going to be Jesse Bromwich, in my opinion. And they've basically only got the one hooker, which is a little bit worrying for the Dolphins. If they did have an injury, they've only got Jeremy Marshall-King, who in the past has been injury prone at hooker. And then you're probably going to find that this is where it gets a bit tough. I'm going to say Mark Nichols. In jersey number 7. I think he's a chance off the bench, but I feel like he can bring a lot to the side. Mark Nichols is going to be my number 10. In the back row, I am going to say that, and again, it's very scarce in this particular department, but I think it's going to be the Storm boys in Felice Kafusi. I think they're going to play him on that right edge where he's been comfortable, and then playing on the left edge will be Kenny Bromwich, who they're pretty much the same positions there as the Melbourne Storm. It's a premiership-winning type combination, so Wayne should stick by that. And at lock for this side, I am going to say it is tough between Ray Stone and Tom Gilbert. I think preseason shows some great form for Ray Stone. So I'm going to say that Ray Stone gets the lock position. And look, if there is an injury, that's probably the choice that could cover the hooker, even though he did blow the Eels' chances of a premiership at hooker in 2021. On the bench in jersey number 14, the more I look at this side, the less I think they have positions to cover and have enough spots. Look, I'm going to go with Isaiah Katoa. I think it's a tough one to argue. I think there's a big chance. We have seen a lot of players being used in the wrong way for the bench. I think it's a big chance you could see Robert Jennings potentially off the bench, but I'm going to say Isaiah Katoa finds himself off the bench. Then you're going to find some of the bigger boys. So you're going to find Herman SASA coming off the bench. You're going to find Jared Wallace coming off the bench. I believe Jared Wallace will probably be jersey number 17, leaving jersey number 16, and that'll probably be Tom Gilbert. There you go.
No, you've done well, mate. And I do apologize for throwing you on the spot here. Like, obviously, I've got no Dolphins content creators out there yet, but obviously, it'll be better. It'll be a lot better when we preview the Roosters and the Eels when we're, throwing fisticuffs in Allianz Stadium in a couple of weeks' time.
It's good fun.
Yeah, it was good. So yeah, very good, very interesting there. Although, Ray Stone, obviously your boy from Parramatta that won you that game against Melbourne Storm when he blew his knee out. Is that a risk to start him at lock after coming out from a knee reconstruction?
Look, I think it is a slight risk, but as I said, I think that pre-season kind of form, he's shown that he would like to have more ball carry. He's shown that he can come off the bench for Parramatta or even start and make that kind of impact. And you want that type of player. You're going to have those experienced Storm boys coming off those type of balls. So, yeah, I think it would be a good choice having Ray Stone as the lock.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. All right, before we let you go, we'll get into our predictions. Hayden, Entertain House, how do the Dolphins get this over? How do they beat the Roosters in round one? We know that the Roosters don't have the best record in round one, but the Dolphins are put under the pump straight away. How do they get this done? How can you see the Dolphins beating the Roosters here?
So the Dolphins need to, if he does play, apply pressure on Luke Keary. I think Luke Keary will be huge for the Roosters this season. I think the halves are going to be great. They need to stop Brandon Smith. He's going to be a force to be reckoned with. He's going to have some big runs. You're going to see him dominating in that Roosters jersey. As I mentioned, I think there's not many players that can really break out the game for the Dolphins, but I think the hammer, especially having him at fullback, I think he's slightly quicker than Jermaine Asako. There is a lot to like for Dolphins fans about their lineup. There is obviously no marquee kind of signing, and that Roosters round one record is going to be in the back of their minds in this. We can do this. If the Knights can do it, we can do it. But overall, I think the Sydney Roosters do win this game. I think that this game will be closer than people think. I think there'll be people out there tipping the Roosters by 20 plus. I think people will underestimate what the Dolphins can bring to the league. And I'm going to tip the Sydney Roosters to win this game by 12.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think the main things you got to talk about here is, the first game of the Dolphins, they're going to be up for this game. Like, there's so much build up for this. They're going to have a home crowd behind them. It's going to be about 30,000, 40,000 there at Suncorp. It's going to be a good crowd. The team's going to be all behind them. And, yeah, I think the way that the Dolphins are going to win this is they've got to win the middle. And they don't have a bad forward pack to compete with the Roosters here. Obviously, if the Roosters get on top in this game in the forward pack, they will win well. But if they can contain that, which limits the opportunity of the Cheese, Radley, Tedesco, getting that ball out to Suoliti and Tupou. Like if they played that same game, the same two defenders with Teddy, Suoliti, and Tupou lining up, they will put 50 on them. But I don't see that happening. But they've got to win the middle. That's the only way they can beat the Roosters here is win the middle early. And that's how most teams are going to really beat the Roosters this year, is beating them through the middle. But obviously, I don't want to sound overconfident. I still think the Roosters will have too much for them. It's going to be in the back of my head. It's like, I'm going to be a bit nervous. Like, what are the Dolphins going to produce? So I'm going to go the Roosters by 14. I still think it'll be 13 plus, but I reckon 14. I think it'll be really close early, and I think the Roosters will have too much in the tank to get the job over the line.
I'll go a scoreline of 24 points to 12.
Yeah, I'll go 26-12 to the Roosters.
There you go.
It'll be. I reckon. Our prediction here. I reckon the Dolphins will score first.
Oh, I like that prediction.
I think they will score first. Just imagine the scenes: the Dolphins score first, and it's like the Dolphins are up for this, and then I think we'll settle down and we'll slowly get over the line. Well, that concludes our predictions for round number one preview for the Sydney Roosters up against the Dolphins at Suncorp Stadium. We'd like to thank Hayden of Entertain House fame for coming on such short notice. I really appreciate your time. And enjoy your trip in the US. And we'll definitely see you in round 5 when the Roosters take on the Eels for that preview and that vlog. Can't wait with that. Thanks for your time. Make sure you guys subscribe to the Entertain House on YouTube. He's got 3 times more subscribers than me, so yeah, he's doing a lot better than me. But yeah, Hayden, thanks for your time, mate. Thanks for coming on.
No worries. It was an absolute pleasure. Really looking forward to seeing you down at the Sportshed TV charity match this Saturday. Looking forward to round 1. Hopefully both our teams can get up, and looking forward to speaking about the Eels in round 5.
Certainly do then. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching. If you guys are new around here, don't forget to like, subscribe, turn notifications on, and see more videos like this one, more previews. Next week on the preview, we are going to have Hold the Ball representing the New Zealand Warriors next week. Can't wait for that one. But until then, guys, thanks guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. But until then, it's goodbye for now. Oh, very good, mate. Very good.
Good stuff.